My name is Sean Paul Reyes. I'm an independent journalist. My company's name is Long Island Audit, Inc. I travel around the country from New York to California and everywhere in between investigating corruption. I have never, ever seen corruption like Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Super mayor, super corrupt. Your police department threatened your police chief, who's not even qualified to be the police chief, can't even pass a simple exam, not even qualified, pulled out his handcuffs to try and intimidate me with unlawful arrest.
Tiffany Henyard, the controversial mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is facing serious allegations from residents and trustees who accuse her of abusing her power, especially regarding the village's police department. The situation intensified when Henyard tried to reappoint Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey despite his recent indictment on federal charges, including bankruptcy fraud.
They threatened to throw me into a cell. There's over 15,000 people here watching you live, Mayor Henyard, and you're being a coward. You won't even look me in the eye. 15,000 people, and you're disrespectful. 15,000 people watching you here. I've gone to every single state almost, and I've seen the worst of the worst politicians, police officers from Connecticut, everywhere in between. And I've never seen a police department this bad. It needs to be disbanded. You talk about these receipts. Where are they?
Residents and officials are outraged, alleging that Henyard is using the police force for personal gain and retaliating against her political opponents.
Historic misuse of taxpayer funds to the sum of, first of all, using the local police as her own personal security detail, costing up to $1 million. She's also being accused of misusing taxpayer money to pay for lavish trips for herself and collecting a combined salary with the supervisor position and her mayor position of $287,000. This is a small town in Illinois, 20,000 people. The highest salary in our U.S. government is $400,000, and she's making just under $300,000. And some of these allegations, or accusations I should say, are so serious that even some local businesses are saying that their licenses and things that they need are not getting renewed after they made decisions to cut off ongoing financial donations to her campaign. So it's a pretty big deal, and this is one of the things that she was questioned on. She has this foundation, a cancer research foundation, that people are also wanting an investigation into, as she has not disclosed how she has used taxpayer money in that foundation.
The ongoing controversies have sparked widespread criticism, with some labeling Henyard as the worst mayor in America and raising serious concerns about corruption and governance in Dalton.
Idea of some of the antics that Tiffany will pull off. This is her at a local public meeting dressed up as an infamous criminal kingpin named Nino Brown.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing? Yeah. Nobody? Trustee? Nobody? Somebody knows something.
As things were mounting and as questions were not being answered, the town voted on a unanimous resolution to probe and look at some of those financial details. And Tiffany herself, who, by the way, calls herself the super mayor, vetoed that resolution.
In a bizarre twist, Mayor Henyard has been accused of involving Dalton police officers in a personal music video, further blurring the lines between official duties and her personal projects.
Also recorded a music video with taxpayer dollars. It's not even her own song, it's just her singing over it. This is a legit comedy show. I can't wait for the documentary about this. Look at her with the cops. And the crazy thing is, all of the things I've mentioned, it's only the tip of the iceberg with her. I could do a 10-part series on Tiffany. She is the most iconic politician running right now. She just does what she wants, and then she just keeps it moving. She goes, I'm gonna keep spending taxpayer dollars. I'm gonna have to do a 10-part series on this woman, because she may be.
The thing is, it's not just about misusing taxpayer funds. That's bad enough on the surface. But again, this is a small town of 20,000 people. All of these accusations that she's racking up are causing this town to go into unmanageable debt, and the people are crying out for help. Here are a few of these people. In fact, I believe they're looking at right now a $2 million deficit, which in a big city or a big town might not be that big of a deal, but when you are the village of Dalton in the middle of Illinois, it's a much bigger.
One of the most troubling allegations against Mayor Tiffany Henyard is her supposed misuse of the Dalton Police Department for personal gain. Reports indicate that she has been accused of directing police resources to benefit her private interests rather than the community. For example, there are claims that she has used police officers as personal escorts and security for non-official events, draining public resources and undermining trust in law enforcement within the village.
She loses her re-election to be mayor, the mayor's salary will be decreased from $225,000 to $25,000. But if she wins, it will stay the same. When I read that, I realized I had to learn everything about this woman. And as it turns out, the 90% pay cut doesn't even crack the top 10 of the most corrupt things that this woman has done in a short year that she's been the mayor of Dalton, Illinois. If you're on a highway near Dalton, Illinois, you will see billboards of Tiffany Henyard. These are all billboards that are paid for by taxpayers, and they advertise things such as senior services. Tiffany recently went to Las Vegas with a few of her friends to attend a conference. While there, she spent all of this money on airfare, hotels, and then money at restaurants like Ruth Chris's, Cafe Hollywood, Hot and Juicy Crawfish. And this was all paid for by the taxpayers because she was there attending a conference. She also spent a fair amount of money at Bubba Gump's shrimp company, and then she brought the hat that she bought there to her town council when she was being questioned about the money she spent in Las Vegas. Afterwards, Tiffany was asked by the local news station about her time in Las Vegas. I just want to remind you before you watch this clip, this is not a show.
Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of a small village, is accused of covering up a sexual assault case involving one of her employees. The unnamed victim reported the incident to local authorities, but the investigation was reportedly stifled under Henyard's leadership. Sources allege that Henyard used her influence to prevent a full investigation, protecting her employee from facing legal consequences.
This young lady said she went to the mayor to try and, explain what happened. The mayor said, I'll take care of this. Don't worry. And then she gets put on FMLA and loses her job. Could something have been done differently by the mayor, who she looked up to, this young lady?
Absolutely. She herself should have launched an investigation. An investigation. This happened on your watch. You should have taken action immediately. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a daughter. Do you not feel anything? Absolutely. To do that, you have a daughter. You have an obligation to this village. You are the leader. You are the leader. To let something like that go by and not get involved. You are just as much, oh my God. Everybody should be prosecuted to the full extent. Everyone involved, even if you knew about it and you covered it up, you as well should take part of this blame here. You should take fault. Something should happen to you as...
Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing village tax money to fund her personal business ventures. Among the allegations is the claim that she funneled public funds into a JVBIA business called Good Burger, which is believed to be a front for her personal financial gain rather than a legitimate enterprise that contributes to the local economy.
I swear to God, I cannot make this up. You will not believe what I just found out about Tiffany Henyard, the mayor from Dalton, who is apparently on the run. To recap, she has not been seen since last Monday when she kicked people out of what was supposed to be a public trustee forum. Then on Monday, we found out that she has misappropriated about $7 million of the city's funds. Now, me being the nosy investigator that I am, I decided to do a background check on Tiffany, just to see what I could find out. And I kid you not, she had 3 LLCs involuntarily dissolved in May of 2024. So the government shut down her LLCs after the FBI investigation started, and guess what they were called? And I swear, I can't make this up. One of them was called Good Burger, and the other one was called Mondo Burger. As in the 1997 Keenan Kel Good Burger and their rival evil burger joint in the movie Mondo Burger. which I have a feeling probably received some pretty hefty checks from the city of Dalton, Illinois over the last 2 years. And not gonna lie, it seems more than likely she's going under the name Aisha.
Residents and trustees have raised concerns about the transparency of Henyard's financial dealings, demanding accountability for the alleged misappropriation of taxpayer dollars.
I have a feeling probably received some pretty hefty checks from the city of Dalton, Illinois over the last 2 years. And not gonna lie, it seems more than likely she's going under the name Aisha right now while she's on the run, because she had a real estate agency called Aisha Properties back in the day, which is her middle name. I also have to clarify, we don't know if she's actually on the run. People are just suspecting it.
Tiffany Henyard is also facing allegations of using police vehicles and personnel for personal purposes. Reports indicate that she often instructed police officers to run errands for her, using village resources intended for public safety to meet her private needs. This misuse of power has led to criticism that the village's law enforcement capabilities were compromised, with officers being diverted from their duties to handle non-essential tasks for her.
Don't say anything. I got receipts, you show papers, you shuffle them around, and you don't do anything. Lori Lightfoot's not gonna get you, the FBI's gonna get you, and they're gonna throw you in the federal penitentiary. That day is gonna come. Lori Lightfoot, to everybody here from Dalton and everybody watching, she has no legal authority to do anything. It's a waste of time. She has a waste of time and money. It's gonna cost you at least $30,000, and she has no subpoena power. She's getting paid $400 an hour. $30,000 is 72 hours. She'll be done in 2 weeks. And then what is she gonna find? That this woman that we all know she's corrupt is corrupt? She's gonna ask Tiffany Henyard for documents that she's never provided to anybody else? You think she's gonna hand it over to Lori Lightfoot? She's not. Newsflash, she's not. Tiffany Henyard she has a police vehicle as her personal vehicle. That's against state law. State law. We should call the police right now and have them confiscate her vehicle. South Holland Police needs to confiscate her Tahoe because it has lights, it has a municipal police plate, and Thornton Township's not allowed to have, per state statute, is not allowed to have a police vehicle. And she's driving around in an illegal police vehicle. Probably the person driving is not even law enforcement, impersonating a police officer. 16,800 people watching Mayor Henyard, Supervisor Henyard, whatever you want to call yourself, Crooked Henyard. And you don't even have the guts to see them, look them in the eye. You don't even have the guts. Because you're a coward and you're a tyrant. I've seen people like you before, but not on your level. And you are going to be put in a federal penitentiary one day. Bring those receipts. You're going to need them. You can read them in your jail cell. Have the life you.
Another major controversy involves Tiffany Henyard's dismissal of the village's police chief. The former chief was reportedly investigating allegations of financial misconduct related to Henyard, particularly regarding the improper use of village funds.
It's extremely important to understand. This was one of Tiffany Henyard's most loyal supporters. Of all the things that's been going on, he has been the one enabling her behavior. He was a part of it. There's tons of videos on his channel talking about all the shady things that Keith Freeman has done in his past, also as administrator of the township, having both positions here. And it's very interesting how things are getting worse for both of them. And if you are the feds, that's exactly what you do. You try to get some of the more senior, the lieutenants of the administration, you hit them with something that was pretty obvious because the guy can't file for bankruptcy properly. And now you probably give him some options. What are you going to do to save your own ass?
Sources within the police department allege that as the investigation gained traction, Henyard abruptly terminated the chief's employment, leading many to believe that the firing was a direct attempt to obstruct the inquiry. This has fueled speculation that Henyard may be hiding unlawful activities, further eroding public trust in her leadership.
Just 4 days ago, she fired the chief of police because he was investigating all of those credit card receipts and all those claims of her funneling taxpayer dollars into her privately owned cancer awareness charity, which you cannot do. And in one of those investigations that the chief of police was investigating, it stated here in this tweet, and shout out to this person for tweeting this, they said Mayor Tiffany Henyard is one of the most corrupt ever. She actually hired a child offender overpays her police officers. She does. She overpays her police officers to be her security, which what do you need that much security for? You're a mayor of a town with about 20,000 people. One of the officers was paid $13,000 in 2 weeks for 300 hours of overtime. Because nobody believes that. Nobody believes that anybody worked 300 hours of overtime. So this has to be investigated because it looks like these numbers were being padded. So the chief of police, or the ex-chief of police, had his attorney investigate these claims, and they're standing behind them that there were allegations of corruption, and he was investigating them. Now I'm going to do a little bit more digging because I think there's a lot more to know about this Tiffany Henyard story because anybody who shows up to a city town hall meeting dressed like Nino Brown is definitely doing something that they shouldn't be.
As the allegations continue to mount, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has reportedly taken an interest in the case. Sources suggest that the FBI is investigating the potential misuse of funds and other illegal activities linked to Tiffany Henyard.
I mean, it doesn't bode well. I was watching it from a distance, and let me say something. Dalton is entirely too small. I'm in a 70,000 person town.
20,000 people.
I'm in a 70,000 person town, and so it's a third the size of my town, and we're not on national news for some stuff like this. That can never be good. And what I hope for the system, because I don't want to see nobody get in trouble. Okay, don't start none, won't be none. I don't want the system to get in trouble. What I'm hoping is all we're talking about is them being petty and them being childish and her being disrespectful. There's something to be said about that, but hopefully that's all it is. The problem is, if you look at the questions that are being asked and not necessarily answered of impropriety, and you're looking at the lack of transparency, being transparent, and she starts everything that she's saying with everything she does well for the community. So it's like, hey, we did this, this, and this, so it's okay if I don't let you know what I'm doing. If it's okay if I'm less than transparent, or in a worst case scenario, for those that believe that way, and she hasn't been convicted of anything, it's okay that I steal. And she is drawing entirely too much heat for what's going on.
While the details of the investigation remain confidential, there is a growing belief that if Henyard does not come forward with the truth, the investigation will eventually reveal it.
It is right now. If she doesn't give up the ghost with those citizens, somebody gonna come in and get the information one way or the other, okay? Whether it's the inspector general, whether it's the state attorney general, or whether it's the federal government. Somebody is going to get this information, and maybe she is staking her place in the ground where she basically comes off like a Robin Hood that people are going to support no matter what. Well, that's not necessarily going to help her. On the other hand, you've got other folks, maybe like the city clerk, for instance, that are staking their place in the ground, saying at some point, this woman's going to fall, and it's going to be about who's on her side in perception and who.
The possibility of federal charges introduces a new layer to the scandal, indicating serious legal consequences if the allegations are proven to be true.
South Chicagoland's super mayor might be going to a supermax prison very soon. The FBI issued multiple subpoenas in the last week, and now we know that a federal grand jury has been investigating Tiffany Henyard for corruption since November. I do not know what more they need to see. The residents of the town literally had a rally called Take Our Township Back last week. It won't be her first time behind bars, but unlike when she was arrested for vehicle trespass, she is now facing 22 criminal charges, and her own lawyer just dropped out because guess what? She hasn't paid her bills, and the city now owes as much as $20 million. This is what happens when people who do not earn their position of authority get access to power. If you didn't know, while she was voted mayor back in 2021, the vast majority of her income and power really comes from her position as township supervisor, where she makes over $220,000 a year. But she only has that huge salary because she inherited it with the position from the predecessor who passed away. Tiffany actually passed an incredibly shady ordinance, so if somebody defeated her in the next election, their salary would only be $25,000. So it's literally not worth it to run against her. You know it's a bad situation when the residents think the best idea is to bring in Lori Lightfoot for $400 an hour. It's so frustrating how slow the wheels of justice turn, but it feels like this story is starting to accelerate, and I hope that Dalton citizens don't have to wait much longer to see her in orange pants.
Despite the growing allegations and ongoing investigations, Tiffany Henyard remains surprisingly confident in her position as mayor and her chances of re-election. In public appearances and statements, she has referred to herself as the Dream Mayor, showcasing her self-assurance and belief in her leadership.